Hello, everyone. Welcome to Prowess Live, one of our favorite times of the week. We have a very special guest today I'm super excited about, which is the inspiration to our opening question, which is, who is someone in your life that inspires you? And it can be from a book, a movie, real life, whoever that might be, but someone that's you've always find inspiring. I will say for me, which is very timely, Harper Lee, that wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, is someone in my life that I've always found inspiring, which is the inspiration of my daughter's name, who turns 18 today. So it all comes full circle. And we're going to be talking with someone today who I also find very inspiring. But if you're new, I am Leah with Prowess Project. I'm the COO here. Started out as the OBM working with Connell, and now am in the COO role as we are helping women that are transitioning in their lives, that maybe leaving corporate, leaving a different trajectory and moving into their OBM skills. We help train them, match them up with clients that are looking for OBMs in their business. So we are going to get started today. Oh, I love these comments of your inspiration. Yes, I will pass on your birthday wishes as well. All right, we are going to kick things off with our guest, Shari. She is an OBM that came through our program, and in hearing her story in the very beginning, I was impressed for day one. I'll even tell you I was a little intimidated by Shari. She has a very impressive background. I'll let her share that, but she has come into this role as an OBM, and it's kind of, it's like I said, it's inspiring to see what she's done. So welcome, Shari.
Hello. Thank you for that intro. Intimidated. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I'm supposed to be doing an interview, Shari. Well, I will say, to start you off, is that you have a ton of your background, you have a wealth of experience, and you wanted to hit the ground running. You were like, I'm in, I'm doing this. How do we get going?
Yeah, so I found Prowess just laying in bed, scrolling on my phone one night, and ended up on YouTube. And I found the course, and I was like, because I don't know what I'm doing, this feels like a good path to take, especially with the guidance that's offered. And again, I've said this before, but knowing that you were also behind the scenes willing to help with the transition to being an OBM, I was like, yes, this is something that I definitely wanted to do. But yeah, from finding Prowess to now, it's been 11 months, and I'm so happy to be here and talk about my journey.
Oh, fantastic. And tell us a little bit about what you were doing prior to that scrolling on your phone.
Yeah, a lot of work in tech. I know a lot of people who resonate with this role might not have the skills or experience, so I don't want to share my background and have it be intimidating, Leah, to others. I think the patchwork quilt is definitely favorable for this role, and it definitely helps craft all of your experiences that you need to help you be successful in the role. So my background in particular, being in tech, I've been in tech for 15 years. I started in marketing, still within the tech industry, in marketing with project management before transitioning into product to help build software products with teams for companies. That was an amazing experience. I love doing it. It's still part of my core and what I love to do. But everybody knows tech is, a little hard now and again, and I burnt out, and I really needed to find something that replaced not only my tech salary, but the flexibility that I so deeply needed at that time. And this was the perfect role for me.
Oh, fantastic. And thank you for sharing all that. Do you feel like having those different roles set you up? I mean, let me ask it this way. Did you feel like, oh, OBM, I can go do this tomorrow? Or was it, how did that look?
Yeah, so prior to Prowess, I thought that, yes, I have these skills. I can offer something in my skill set to someone that, could just float me for the 6 to 9 months, my original plan of being off, and figure it out from there. And then I began to doubt myself. Like, do I really have all of the skills that I need? I needed some validation in terms of outside of what I was offering into the corporate world. Could I offer those same skill sets to a small business owner in the same package? Would it make sense? So the validation came with the program and understanding, yes, I have these skill set, but how do I fine tune it for small business world?
Yeah. And do you mind sharing what your package looks like today?
Yeah, so I offer project management, given that that was the first thing that I honed in on, automation, which is new for me, but I love it so much, and team management, which is part of my product background, working with different teams to fulfill and build a product.
Oh, fantastic. Would you say that took a little time to get there, or
In terms of having the packaging or the skill
the
set,
packages?
the packaging, no, I kind of leaned into what I already felt that was core to me and what I was used to doing, with the fine tuning of how to present it to a small business owner so it makes sense to them and not so corporate-y. Because a lot of small business owners either worked in corporate or never worked in corporate. They don't want to be in the same box, or they've never worked in corporate and they don't understand it. And I didn't know if I was communicating effectively to them.
Yeah. And again, we talk a lot about emotional intelligence here at Prowess, of those communication skills and all of that. And so for those listening, I mean, yes, Shari is very strong in those areas, but I do think it is something that comes natural when you have worked in different disciplines, or different departments. It can be seen as moving around, but that's how you're building those muscles of knowing how to talk to people and flex.
For sure. I think that's very valuable. So if someone is in a different skill set or different industry, utilizing your skill set as it is today and then building upon that for servicing small businesses is a definite place to start. It's somewhere good to start, and then you can add on to it as you go.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope I'm not putting you on the spot with this next question, but you mentioned a little bit of the needing to leave corporate, right? You were in a point where you're like, I'm looking for something different. Do you mind sharing what that looked like and how you did it? Like, how did you make that transition to doing something on your own?
Yeah, I didn't transition well. So for me, having a second kid, I think, was a turning point. Like, it was just a shift in where I needed to be work-wise and flexibility-wise, time-wise, all of the wises. And I guess the effort that it takes to juggle all of the balls, I was dropping all of the balls everywhere. So I left. I just put in my 2 weeks notice after discussion. I did plan a portion of it with my husband. I put together a deck and I walked through, how long I could take off for. So there was some planning, because that is just true to who I am. I'm a planner. But after that, I left, and I didn't have a plan until I was Googling one night. So I was cold turkey.
Yes. So you invested in a program, right?
Right after.
That was one of your steps. And then what did it look like from there?
Like you said, I went head first. Like, I had nothing else to do. So I was just like, well, I'm taking the time. I'm going to jump right into this program. I think I completed it in 2 weeks.
You were quick. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so fast. I was like, I'm going to do all of the things because I need to figure this out. I need to make this work because I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Like, everything was just falling apart. I did it in 2 weeks. And then after that, I think I was going through the matching process while on my end networking with people that I know in my life. So literally my neighbor, my friends, my old coworkers, just telling them what I was thinking about doing and having the conversation, just so that they were aware.
Yeah. How did that feel?
Less salesy than I thought. So when I went to one of the people in my network and I told them, the reaction was, oh my gosh, I know what an OBM is and I need support right away. And I just thought, well, that's odd, because I had my notes. I wrote everything down of what an OBM does. I was ready.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I was ready. I was ready to sell it. And the person responded, like, I know what you are doing and I need support. And I will tell all of my other business friends that you are now in this industry. And I am so thankful to that person, because they've truly become a sponsor. But in terms of communicating what I was doing, it hasn't been that hard or salesy per se, because it's true to what I love to do.
Yes, that's a great point, is that when you're just sharing what you're passionate about, it does become easier. It becomes more organic.
Exactly.
So where has it gone from there? I'd love for you to share, that was what you said, about 11 months ago. And what does business for you look like today?
So I finished my course last March. I landed my neighbor client in April. And then from there, I was matched with some Prowess clients. I then secured my own client. And this is like out of order. I'm just going through like this series of months in my head. And I think I would be considered a booked out OBM in online terms, given that I'm at max capacity. So at that point, I looked into growing my team and offering additional support through contracted help.
Oh, can you share more about that? Like, it sounds
Yeah.
like you're now sitting in the CEO role. So what does that look like?
You know, it's interesting. I didn't think it would feel as normal. I thought it would feel as more grand than it is made out to be. It just feels like I have coworkers, and before I was doing it by myself, and now I just have people to chat with on Slack about shared work that we both enjoy doing. So my help for the business is automation support and creative support. So to contractors, and they're project based. So they're also their own business owners. So we're basically sharing the load of the work that comes my way. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we're just, working together.
Do you enjoy it? Do you enjoy that? Like, now you're running your business. There's strategy that comes. I'm assuming that you've got all the spreadsheets out for your own business.
Yeah. So one thing that I'm now starting to think about being in the CEO role is how to continue marketing my business and not get stuck in the supporting others. So continue marketing mine, getting certified and, SMB certified from different places, women-owned certifications, stuff like that. And it's a running list. And I can see how other business owners get so far down with all of the tasks that they need to do that they are then covered. Like they're just overtaken by all of the things. I can see that are on my horizon, but I think I started off on the right track by getting help early instead of waiting while I'm too far along the path.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well, and I think that that's also like a great mix of, like you're saying, you're understanding now your clients, their perspectives, and then putting that, it's like twofold.
Yeah, exactly. It's like full circle. Like I can understand my target audience because I've become my target audience.
Yes. Yeah. That's like the perfect little workshop right there.
Exactly.
We have some great questions in the chat. And if anybody has any other ones, please throw them in there. One is, how did you connect with your coworkers? Like, how did you find the people that you are currently working with?
As simple as possible, LinkedIn searches and seeing what they were up to and if they were open to working with me and supporting my client base. And it was basically literally LinkedIn. That's it.
Awesome. And any advice that you would have for other OBMs that are thinking in long term of like, I would like to eventually have people supporting me?
Yeah. So don't forego the screening process. There are some questions that you still need to ask. Working styles, like I love a good DISC assessment. If someone has already done that and your working style with the DISC assessment, if they have it, ask them if they'd like to share it. The screening process is really important because if I know I like to work a certain way and this other person works completely separate from how I work, it might not be a good match. So that's one thing that I say do not forgo. And then just continue to have fun with the thing that you love to do. Don't lose sight of the vision of I chose to do this for flexibility, for my hours, for whatever the reason may be. Don't lose sight of that because you feel like you now have a team and you now have to turn into this machine of helping everybody do their job.
Oh, that is such a great point.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Where you get to set the pace, right? Like you get to decide what this looks like. Any tips there? Any secrets that you've learned?
Besides my calendar telling me when to start and when to stop, that's all I've got. I'm taking baby steps out of my burnout phase of just overscheduling myself and trying to fit 28 things on the calendar per day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, when to start, when to stop, and then acknowledging the thing that you want to do that's most important for that day, making that a priority.
I love that. And I do think that's one reason why a lot of people get into this, right? Is to have the flexibility, all the whys, like you said, right? And making sure that we stay with that and keeping
Yeah.
true to that. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of the journaling every morning, like keep going back and writing it down and making sure you're in alignment with where you want to go.
Yeah.
I love that. And how is do you find that you're having to really go out and find a ton more clients, or you said you already are fully booked out? Is it a wait list situation now?
There may be a wait list situation of like 2 or 3, but smaller project-based offers, not necessarily retainer-based projects, like an ongoing basis. I think the status is comfortable for where I am right now with the support that I have. I wouldn't jump to the next step quite yet, given that it's less than a year, right? By a month, it's just less than a year to see where I'd go next.
Yeah. I mean, you got to pace yourself here, Shari.
Yeah,
You're already
exactly.
blowing up all your goals out of the water. Do you have any particular wins that are like happy moments from this past year, like stories you could share with others that are like, what does this really look like every day?
It's going to sound so cliche, but it's the feedback that I get from my clients if I've completed something or started on something that they haven't had the chance to do. Or for this one particular client, it was setting up a dashboard for them to understand how their business metrics work. So she understood that income was coming in, but she kind of, wasn't tracking it all the way. And it wasn't, something that she could point to or share with anyone who needed visibility into her business. Was kind of like in her head and her heart. So setting up that dashboard and having that visibility brought to her business to see, these were your goals. This is how you've exceeded them. You had the feeling that you did well, but this is the actual, metric that we are tracking towards that you have exceeded. And getting that feedback from that client, that having that visibility into that has been life-changing for her business, because it then allows her to set more goals or higher goals for the next year to understand, the revenue that she would need to hit. So getting that feedback from clients is really exciting.
That's fantastic. And I'm glad to hear that for you, because to offset that, maybe that corporate background of what you were leaving, right, to now get that validation that I am in the right spot and I'm really serving people that I want to be helping with their business.
Yeah,
I love it.
Sure. Yeah, that gratification is definitely top tier. Like I love hearing the positive of how things are happening in the business that typically wouldn't have happened if they hadn't gotten help.
Yep. Well, I hope that you're writing that down. Keep it, whether it's the Post-it note, but keep it handy, right?
No.
Sometimes the OBMs can be a little bad about remembering all the great things that we do. So
textbook case.
Any misconceptions about that you found that people have about what an OBM does?
I think most notably the confusion with a virtual assistant and not understanding exactly the differences between the two has been something that I've had to overcome. The strategy and the direction setting, and I would even say the team management is something that I don't think people tend to gather from a conversation with an OBM, the first conversation anyway. It takes a couple tries for them to get, you're not just someone that I can assign tasks to. You can actually be a partner within my business to help guide it in the right direction. That's everything.
So you said a couple conversations you feel like it might take, or do you give it a window of when you think this is going to start?
Yeah. So if it's a introduction call, it's a general, this is more about the business. This is the type of help that I need in my business. And it starts there with direction setting of, this is where I can help serve and what I can do in your business. And then sometimes it'll regress if there's a second call, if there's something else that pops up in between that time. It might be an email that seems a little off of what you offer, that you then have to, just reroute to the direction that you would want to go in as an OBM.
Got it. I love all this perspective that you have, because I think it really, when people can hear what it looks like every day, I think that really is helpful. We have another great question here. If you can share a little bit more about how you're screening clients,
Yeah.
And I agree, like the DISC is a great one, but are there any other kind of, whether it's clients or coworkers, how things that you might be picking up on that you're like, this might not be my people?
I tend to go through a strategy call when someone reaches out for help, and working through the areas of their business that is stressful. You get to see that person in a stressed environment and how they respond to stress, how they respond to a solution to that stressful task, or how they respond or might not even respond positively to your suggestions about implementing change. That's a definite way that I would suggest to screen for clients, because you get to see upfront what working with this individual would be like.
Oh, that's such a great point. And I think that would apply to potential teammates, right? People that you might bring on, is handing them the current stress and what is
Yeah,
their
yeah,
response.
exactly.
I like that. Switching gears a little bit, can you share what it looks like inside to run your business? Like if you were to give an OBM a perspective of like, this is how I do it, like the nuts and bolts behind the scenes, what tools do you use to run your business?
I would say the most helpful thing, and it's not a tool specific, it's a web browser, it's Profiles in Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
That helps me so much in terms of keeping business specific tasks or software that they use specific to that business. So in the Chrome profile, switching between my business profile and my clients is something that I would highly recommend. It took me a while to figure that out. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to manage all of this stuff for all of the people that I'm working with in one place, but that was definitely helpful. But for my business specifically, my tech stack is really slim. It's not something that you need to go out and spend thousands of dollars on. So it's a project management tool. It's a CRM that automatically bills and does reminders, and it does calls for me. So that saves me definitely a ton of time. And my marketing platforms would be the other thing. So for me, it's just a really slim tech stack. I don't want too many things causing overhead and taking focus away from the time I need to support my clients.
Yep. Great point. And I am a big fan of the free or as low cost as possible also. We did have one question here. If you are using the Prodeza that we have with inside Prowess Project.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to be able to test it out. So thanks for that. And I definitely support that platform because it is very streamlined and it has everything in one place. So it's the calendar scheduling. You can build your websites there. The CRM is really important. The automations is top tier for me in terms of ensuring that my time is saved. If I find myself doing something on a repetitive basis, I set up an automation and it does it for me. So yes, I love Prodeza for my back end of my business.
Yeah. And for anyone who's not familiar with Prodeza, that is our version of Go High Level. So that is a software that it combines a lot. So for OBMs, it can keep your overhead down, but also give you one place to go. So that you're not in all these different tools, Frankensteining everything. And the data talks to each other. That's the other thing I like about it. Like I can go in there and see what is actually happening very quickly.
Yep, definitely.
And yes, you were a huge help in helping build and plan all of that out.
If you ask me for feedback on how to fix a process, I'll do that real quick.
Yes, and you deliver it like in a beautiful format too, so it's like a win-win.
Yeah.
Yes. Anything else you would share for people that are thinking about becoming an OBM?
Yeah, I think I've said this before. I took this path of trying to figure it out myself, and it wasn't as fast as I would have liked it to be. So finding support, it doesn't have to be a program, but it does need to be someone in the industry or someone that owns a business, some other support mechanism to have an understanding of what it is that you're trying to do and where you want to go, so that they can help guide. Just don't do it by yourself.
Yes. And I agree. It is finding that community or another person or something so that I always joke that I'm like, it's getting to the end of Google. I think I've said that a ton of times, but we're OBMs. We're going to do it. We're going to research like crazy, and it doesn't need to be that hard.
Exactly. And I did do that. I Googled, like I said, that's how I found Prowess, but I Googled from day until night. I was like, I can do this. I can put it together myself. I can craft this package. And then I'm like, but how do I do that?
Yeah.
And then you get to the end of Google.
Yes. It's an ugly place. Don't do it. Another question that one thing I love about you is that when you first started, not only you had your background that we're using, but you also had your passion, right? You said, Leah, I really love interior design.
Yeah.
Right. So can you share a little bit about how that went of being like, this is something that I love. I have this experience, and how you combine that?
Yeah. So my creative side, my left and my right brain, right? I love it. I would say that I dabble in it. Like I'll put up some wallpaper and say, oh my gosh, that looks amazing. But am I truly an entire interior designer? I am not. I love the creative side of it that somebody else can execute. And I know that I can bring tech and organization and team management to support that creative person who might not be as strong with those skills. And that's how I map that together. Something that I love, like looking at something pretty and knowing that it might not be flawless in its execution. And that's how I could support in that role is how I bridge the gap between those two.
I love that. And to me, and especially like you were talking about, like when you come from something that maybe felt bumpy, right? Leaving corporate or whatever, and then going into an environment where you love doing it every day, that's where magic happens, right? Because
magic. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we enjoy what we do.
I do not have Sunday scaries. I think I have the opposite problem. So I'll sit on my couch from however long, 6 to whatever time, might be 5 hours worth. And I'll look up and I'm like, oh my gosh, the time has just flown by. I love doing what I do. And I don't necessarily just want to stop just to stop. So I have to remind myself, this is a slippery slope. Do not do that. You have to ease out of this and then focus on the thing that it is that you want to focus on.
Yes. Yeah. Very important. Again, going back to like having boundaries, staying in alignment. Because yes, we can just keep going and keep giving, but you got to make sure you're conserving your own energy too.
Exactly. Yep.
Looking ahead for your business, where would you like to see this grow to?
No, that's an interesting question, given that I'm, again, 11 months in. I would love to be able to support more than the current max of clients. So obviously looking for a bigger register of clients to support. I don't necessarily want a huge team, so still remaining pretty lean in terms of how we support those clients. And maybe the types of clients that I do support changes at some point. So maybe it might not be as a small business as it is today. It could be some business that's, on the threshold after a certain revenue point that needs a little more support. So it could be more of like an agency type setup.
And how about for you, like what you would want to do? Like, are there other skills that you're interested in, other communities you want to join, anything like that?
So many communities. I think something that typically happens when you are remote and online is that you are lonely. It's just me and my dog most days. And having that community is really important. So there are a few organizations out there that I'm interested in joining. I've joined one so far. I'm in the DC area. So NABO, the National Association of Women Business Owners. There's one that I've joined that you do get the community. And again, business owners help you along the way. They understand that you're newer to doing your own thing. So they have a wealth of knowledge. And that's something that I'm really interested in pursuing, just growing my community.
Love that. And that's one thing I also appreciate about you is I feel like you're always looking for one more, like you're always learning something. You're always telling me like, hey, I came across this, right? And so that continuing to grow, I think is really important when we're working for ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. There's no level of just knowing everything. There's always something that comes up. And I think this is just for anybody in life, right? Like you're never going to know all of the things. So remaining curious is definitely something that I subscribe to.
Yes. We have a question here. Can you share your typical work week and what looks like in terms of total hours, times you work, juggling work and your personal life?
Yeah, so my work week total time, I would say it's about 25 to 30 hours, give or take. I stretch that out between the 4 clients that I have, and that breaks down per day for me to about 6 to 7 hours per day per client. So it's not a ton. I tend to take Fridays off just because I like to go have lunch with my kid or pick up the other one from daycare early and hang out for the weekend. So there's some things that I prioritize during the week, and then I support my clients throughout the other days.
Awesome. Thank you. And what is there anything that's been like you didn't realize that you would really love doing as an OBM, but that's now part of your day?
I think it's the seeing a problem. I think I've always been this way though, seeing a problem and thinking to myself, by remaining curious, there's a better way to do that. There must be a better way to fix this issue or problem or challenge. And coming up with that solution is definitely the thing that if that comes up during my day, I am ecstatic. That's when I get tunnel vision. Like, I found this problem, I'm gonna fix it, and I'm gonna make it better. That's my number one thing.
Yes. That one, that's one of those things that I can't let go of it. And I'm just constantly thinking about it all the time. Yes. This has been such a great chat, Shari. I really appreciate it. Is there anything that you would like to leave this group with?
Yes. If you're thinking about transitioning, I suggest having a plan. If you have a full-time role and you want to start working for yourself, start on the side, start with a plan. Do not do what I did. I do not recommend. There is a lot of stress that comes with that, which, you need to figure that out. So I would suggest figuring out what the strategy is for supporting yourself with a business and having a role that pays the bills. So that's number one. And then after you make the transition, regardless of however long it takes, again, I think I said this earlier, but keep the reason of why you have done the thing that you've chosen to do top of mind, and don't get lost in the swirl.
Oh, that's great. See, I'm gonna have to put that on a post-it note.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
You get lost in the swirl.
Yes. Would you like to share how people can find you or connect with you if they do have a client they want to send your way, or if they just want to connect?
Yeah, so my website is www.outsourci.com, and it's outsourcing without the NG, so outsourci.com. And you can send me an email through the form there, or I think my email is listed on the site.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Shari. We really appreciate it. And thank everyone for your questions, and we will see you guys next week.
Thanks.